So the first thing I want to start with is the SBA business loan. Can you talk about that?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll talk about that. And I'm not necessarily sure, as Rashad just said, is very informal. So I don't know what he's going to ask me. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. So we can talk about those loans, but then I also want to talk about the other loans as well, because there are a few other loans, and then we can move into grants and everything. So the SBA loan, what did you say?
I said, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, perfect. So SBA loan is really, it's backed. Well, you can apply up to 2 million, right? So when you apply, you are eligible to receive up to $2 million of the SBA loan. Why I have a lot of clients reaching out to me is because there's an initial application process that everyone has been posting the link about. However, they ask you a very important question, right? How much was your revenue for last year? And how much were your cost of goods sold? How much were those things? So based on those things, that's how they're going to determine how much of a loan you are going to receive. A part of that SBA loan, which is called the EIDL, I think is, I'm drawing a blank right now, Economic Industrial Disaster Loan. I believe that's it. So the EIDL, I'm just been talking about it so much, so now it's just EIDL to me. So the EIDL loan pretty much just says, okay, you can get up to 2 million. However, when applying for the loan, there is $10,000 that they say, okay, do you want to receive $10,000 up front? That $10,000 really is basically going to turn into a grant. So that $10,000, if you follow the the guidelines and restrictions that they set forth, which I'll discuss in a minute, that loan can then turn into a grant. And it can turn into a grant so you have, and as I mentioned, there's a few different ones. So with this one in particular, you have the 2 million and you have up until December 31st of 2020 to exhaust that, to spend all the money, but it has to be within the guidelines of payroll, mortgage, insurance, interest, things like that, things more operational necessities of the business. So if you are able to exhaust all of those funds that you receive before December 31st of 2020, then that portion of the loan is forgiven, meaning it's free money. Mm-hmm. However, now let's say if let's say they give you $100,000, but you were only able to spend $80,000 of it, that remaining $20,000 is going to turn into a loan. It will still be a very low interest rate loan. So regardless of how you slice this, the money is free money and it's cheap money, right? Because you can take those funds and really invest in your business and really help your business grow. So that is the SBA loan.
Who qualifies for that loan? Is there a certain amount of employees that you have to qualify for that?
Under 500 employees. So it can just be you. So I get that a lot. So it's for self-employed. It's also for any businesses. And I'm glad that you asked me that, because I want to stress the importance to everyone on how important it is for everyone to get their applications in immediately. So it just requires you to have less than 500 employees. However, what they did add and they did include in there is that franchises in restaurants can apply for that as well. Now, why that is so important is because you have someone like McDonald's able to apply for the SBA loan because they're seen as, they can apply as individual franchises, right? And then most McDonald's, you don't see 500 employees in there, right? So now you have the whole McDonald's able to apply for this SBA loan. So how long do you think that these funds are going to stay available? You have the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the Taco Bells. Every restaurant, if it's a chain restaurant, they are going to be seen as individual like applicants, right? For every single location. So that's major. That's major. And that means that these funds are available, but they're also available on first come, first served basis. And so that's
I was just actually watching the Secretary of the Treasury. He said that the application process starts tomorrow. Is that the word? Tomorrow you can start applying?
So you can apply for the SBA loan now. They're going to start processing it on their end tomorrow.
Okay.
And then also the payroll, the PPP, the payroll protection program loan. That's also a loan that they are going to start applying for and making available tomorrow. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions about that. If not, we can move into PPP because I kind of want to talk about that one.
Those servers are going to be going crazy. I hope it can crash.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other one.
Okay, so the other one is the payroll protection program. So that one is a great program for any business owners who have payroll. So even if it's yourself that's on payroll, this is a great program. And I really like this program because even self-employed people can apply for the PPP. And we will also talk about unemployment insurance. You do have to make some decisions because you can't get PPP and EIDL and unemployment. You have to kind of choose. So with PPP, it is a payroll protection program. And the point of this loan specifically is for business owners to be able to save their payroll, right? And so with this, the difference between PPP and EIDL is that you have 8 weeks to exhaust the money that they give you. And in terms of the funds that you're eligible for, it is 2.5 times your payroll, your average monthly payroll. So again, that's where a lot of clients need me because people don't, they need their payroll reports. They need, all of their financials so that they can apply for this loan. Now that loan application opens up and can only be submitted through lenders, through a small business lender. So I'm in the process of connecting with my Bank of America rep so that I can just send my clients directly to them because, it's one thing to know that you can apply for the loan, but if you don't know who's applying and then really trying to get in contact with a banker may be almost impossible because again, you got the McDonald's, the big franchises of the world that, these bankers know them one-on-one, they're going to prioritize them. So, you want to make sure that you have someone that can push your application or at least submit your application so that you can get this money. Now it is 2.5, and this is also a loan, works very similar to the EIDL loan, where the payroll protection, the PPP is as I mentioned, you have to exhaust it in 8 weeks. It is 2.5 times your payroll. Now let's just say in 8 weeks you aren't able to exhaust all the money that they've given you. That will all the remainder that you can't prove out that you paid out your employees, then what's going to happen is that portion will turn into a loan, right? So that portion will also turn into a loan.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it you have to choose one of these programs or you can just do as many as you want to try to apply for?
So you can apply for the EIDL and the PPP. So however, how it works is, let's just say you apply for EIDL and you apply for PPP. What will happen is if you get approved for PPP and you get approved for EIDL, what will happen is that your EIDL will be reduced by $10,000 of it being forgiven, right? Because it pretty much is saying like you receive that, your PPP will be reduced by 10,000. Right. And it really depends, right? It's going to depend on who's giving you more money and where, it matters most. But the idea is that wherever you're getting that other money, it's going to reduce it, right, by that amount.
Are there stipulations to it as far as the employer, in terms of them not laying off their employees? Is that one of the stipulations in order to qualify for the loan?
That is a stipulation for the PPP. You have to retain your employees, and you also receive a tax credit, which we can talk about that more so in the tax side of it, because there are a lot of tax provisions and things that people can take advantage of, as well as it relates to filing for their taxes. That's also going to be a credit. You're going to receive a credit for retaining those employees, which is really good, because when they were originally going for the bill, the reason why it took so long for them to pass it and the Democrats wouldn't allow them to pass the bill is because there was no stipulation in there stating that these businesses had to hold on to their employees, right? And so then that would have just been a situation where people could just fire everybody, take this money, and then, you know, reorganize their business. So, you know, that I'm, you know, happy that they held off for that one, because everybody still won in terms of, you know, people being able to keep their jobs, and then business owners really being able to hold on. This bill was really, really, really about employers and employees, right? I particularly think there will be another bill coming. This was a third bill. I think there will be a fourth bill for real estate, because there's not a lot of perks in here for real estate. But if, you know, you see how the mortgages, like people aren't paying their rent, mortgages are not being paid. So I feel that there is going to be another bill, and that bill probably is going to specifically relate to real estate. I mean, not set in stone, but that's what I think, because there's not much in here where real estate owners or banks are really benefiting.